see. All right, and we're live. Welcome everyone to the PurpleTrader Show. I'm your host, the Pug. With me is
Andre, the CEO and founder of PurpleTrader.
And today we're going to do things a little differently. We're going straight to the interview, and right with us, I'll let him introduce himself.
Great, thank you. Pleasure to be here today, Andre and Mr. Pug. I am William Laurent. Those of you that have followed my social token probably know me from DeSo, and very active there. I'm also active on a few other blockchains as both a writer and artist, working closely now with Internet Computer and DFinity to build a news desk, Web3 news desk there that will be fully on-chain, fully decentralized Web3 crypto news. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Awesome, Will. No, pleasure to have you today. We're excited. I know I have a lot of questions I'm going to be asking you about, so I hope you're prepared.
And likewise, I have questions for you too.
Oh, I can't wait. It's about time. You know, we've yet to get questions from people, but I'm excited for the other way around. So let's get into it, William. Let's talk about your involvement with DFinity. To help it out, because our audience might not know what it is, can you explain what it is first, and then go into the details of what you do, particularly your involvement with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at my video right now. Is the camera looking a little bit blurry?
You are a little blurry.
I'm not really sure what's going on with that. It was fine a second ago. I have a very high quality camera. Any suggestions?
Did you when you entered into the stream, did you click the 1080?
Let's do that. Can I stop the cam and reset it?
I'm going to remove you, and then you're going to have to come back. I'll put you back in.
All right. Sounds good.
Because we're both fine, so it has to be something on his end. Let's see.
I think it's still.
I think
now it's fine. Yeah, now looks fine. Yeah,
you're good.
All right, fantastic. So to answer your question, how about I'll sort of reverse it. So I am working on a project right now with DFinity, acting as their interim editor-in-chief, in helping them build out a true Web3 news desk, right? So you have all these crypto news sites out there, right? There's probably 100 now, right? Crypto Potato, Decrypt, Cointelegraph, blah, blah. None of them are built on the blockchain. None of them are truly decentralized. So this is what was very exciting to me about the opportunity. It's very historic. Not only is it fully decentralized on the blockchain, but we'll be at a point very soon with the technology where writers that we bring aboard, or even when we open the gates to a more a public sort of arrangement, people will be able to come on board in general and create NFTs of their writing. Oh, and by the way, they'll be able to fractionalize those NFTs. So it's really an opportunity. I saw this. I said, well, that's great. I mean, I'm a content guy. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a Web3 guy. I'm an artist. I'm all these things. But this opportunity truly is something that is historic. So if you don't know about the Internet Computer, it is, in my opinion, one of the most, if not the most advanced blockchains in the world, not just from the perspective of cryptography, but from the perspective of speed and storage, and it basically leverages the computer, I would say, processing power, truly decentralized all around the world. No Amazon Web Service, none of these other things. To be a compute provider, you actually have to go through a very rigorous process, right? With DFinity. So it is, in my opinion, the most decentralized the most decentralized blockchain out there. So again, I'm excited about the technology. I'm excited about what we're building. DFinity is the governance organization for the internet computer. If that makes sense, right? So we have you have the internet computer, which is the blockchain. That's the technology. You have ICP, which is token, right? Just like you have Ethereum blockchain, Ethereum token. And then you have the DFinity Foundation, which is sort of the umbrella, which is the organization around that. And also what really has me excited about this project is look at who the investors are. Look at who's been funding the technology. Everybody from Andreessen Horowitz on down. So you really have the biggest names. And came into this about it was sometime in July, where I had been talking to the DFinity team for a while. The CEO, Dominic Williams, who is just a genius cryptographer, is someone that we've been on each other's radars for some time. Dom said, "Hey, I like your writing. Do you want to do this?" So yeah, so I'm helping build this thing out right now, and we're just getting started. I mean, if you look at the technology, it's still, I would say, raw. That's no knock on the dev team. It's just we're in the beginning process of standing this up, but we wanted to get started. So a lot of cool things will be coming down the road later in terms of user interface, in terms of all that. So one really cool thing is that since I'm the editor-in-chief right now and have full editorial control, that basically means I determine what we can cover, right? So we want to do a story on PurpleTrader because I think social tokens are going to be one of the biggest things over the next 2 to 3 years. I want to be able to do some articles about some of my friends that are NFT artists that are doing innovative projects that no one's ever done before. So in that sense, it's pretty cool in that I can bring my friends along for the ride and still create compelling content that people want to read.
Awesome. I don't know where to start. It sounds like a great project. I did a little research on DFinity. What interested me particularly was the internet computer of blockchain, and I'd never heard of it until actually 2 days ago. So, I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, it sounds like it's great in theory, but maybe would you be able to explain like use cases and why something like this is being created at the moment? Because I thought Ethereum was, one of the main decentralized platforms out there for a lot of what we're doing. But now you have something like the internet computer of blockchain, which I don't know if it's an Ethereum killer. Is it going to go together? So let's go into some of the details.
Wow, there's so many things going on. So I'm going to try and just hit little areas, maybe like hit little use cases rather than give you a general overview. And forgive me if I'm being circular. Your first question, is it Ethereum killer? I mean, even recently when they asked Vitalik Buterin about are there other blockchains that you're scared of or make you nervous, I don't remember what the exact question was. He mentioned the internet computer. One of the reasons is that you would pay millions of dollars to store something on, to store something on Ethereum, to store something on Solana that you would pay $5 for on the internet computer, right? So you have this idea of canisters. I don't want to get too much into it. Almost think of canisters acting as sort of a microservice, as microservice actors, and being able to host smart contracts in that. Now, without getting too much into the technology, I can tell you that you have storage costs massively cheaper. You have much less latency. There are benchmarks out there. You can check them out for yourself. But the whole issue, and I'm going to come back to it, is that most of the blockchains, they run on Amazon Web Services. They run on AWS. They run on Google servers. That's not really decentralized, is it? So the internet computer model is a little bit different, where the node providers are actually, like I said, fully vetted. There's a whole governance model around it. There's a whole DAO around it. There's a whole staking model around it. It is complicated, I'll be honest. It took a lot of PhDs to come up with this technology, with this whole paradigm. And these are people. I think I just heard DFinity / Internet Computer has the highest number of ex-Google engineers working for them right now than any other company in Europe. Now, again, I can't completely. You can fact check that. I can't completely verify it, but that's what I've been hearing. So here's an interesting use case, and I'm gonna touch on. So we've talked a little bit about the decentralized aspect of it. We talked about the speed and the storage, which I'm not going to get into to too much detail, other than one thing is that in the canisters you're allowed to store, I think, up to 4 gigs in each canister, right? But it is, think of it as an in-memory database, right? So there's no real need to even go out and write to a normal database. You need to spin up more database memory. You can hash that out. So the whole model of persistence is something that they call, I think they call orthogonal persistence, is completely revolutionary. And these are brilliant cryptographers that have thought this up. What I like about the internet computer specifically, now I'm just starting to get into it, this concept around what they call the internet computer identity, right? And if you have any experience with edge computing, if you work in, or conceptually, edge computing, how we sort of go from client mainframe to client server to cloud, and we just keep going in a circle of where we're going to push the computing power. Edge computing pushes the processing power back more to the device level. What ICP has done is they've given the option to push a lot of the cryptography back to the device level. So I literally can log in with my fingerprint. When I logged in today to the internet computer, I just logged in biometrically. I didn't have to worry about a seed phrase. I didn't have to worry about any of that, because somehow, and again, I don't know how they do this, is that they're using the chip in my iMac, they're using the chip in my my iPhone, where they've actually pushed the cryptography and that whole security process, the biometric authorization process, to my device, right? So it's being pushed to the device level. It's a much more secure way to do things, because look, in the future, if you followed the news with the Binance deepfake the other day, the future, even conversations like this or Zoom calls, we're all going to have to sort of verify that it was really us before or after, probably biometrically, right? So we need a better way to distribute and promulgate our personal identity throughout whatever ecosystems that we're going to be using. And I don't want to bore you with details, but dig a little bit into the internet computer IC identity, and you'll be, I think, really amazed at the developments that are happening right now and the technology that is available. One other use case is, so I had a friend recently that was, not only was their MetaMask wallet compromised, so it's one thing to go to a site and click on a bad link and all of a sudden what happens? Your wallet is drained, right? Well, your wallet is drained, the damage is done. But if your seed phrase is compromised, the whole lineage of everything that you've ever done is compromised. This particular person is an NFT artist, and they have NFTs that are on the market, and he has these NFTs that have sold, that he's in line to get future royalties. Well, guess what? Those royalties are now going back to his wallet that has been compromised, and there's no way around it. I mean, that wallet, so it's not like you can. I mean, he could go to OpenSea and start burning all his NFTs, but that's going to cost gas to do that. And if he puts Ethereum in, because he wants to pay the gas to burn the NFTs he has not sold, that money could be extracted before he even gets to do that. So there are certain things, if you look at what you have to do with MetaMask, what you have to do with some of these other on-chain wallet solutions, there's just a better way forward. And for me, ICP, with what they're doing with the internet identity, really is just a better way. It's a better way of doing things, better way of doing business. The tech is just better. So you'll be hearing a lot more about it. I mean, my job is more not so much on the marketing side, although I love to talk about the technology. It's getting Dominic Williams, who's the CEO of DFinity, it's getting this news desk stood up for him, and that we can have edgy stories, we can have opinion pieces, and no one's going to shut us down. And we will be covering the ICP ecosystem, but it's only going to be about 20% of what we write about, because we don't want it to be a fanboy site. We want to show the world, hey, check out this proof of concept. Check out what we've built. This is the new Web3 press because it's actually built on chain, right? Does that make sense? And similarly to how things are on DeSo right now, is that I am posting every day on DeSo. I have since March 26th of last year. Every day I'm making money. Some days it's going to be 4 cents for my content. Some days it's going to be $40 or more, based on maybe people like my art, maybe people like something I wrote, maybe I made a witty comment. So we want to bring that same model into Fastblocks, which we're building the new site which we're building right now. And that if a article goes viral, as more people come in, they like a certain writer, they'll be able to leave tips, or what we call hand claps, right? So it'll be a way for writers to monetize in that way as well. It's super exciting stuff.
Super cool. You are on mute.
You're on mute.
Happens every single time. One comment before, because I know Andre. I want to let Andre now ask a question. But to one thing that you mentioned, which I'm glad somebody I can talk to, is that it's actually crazy that one day, and I knew this was going to happen, is we're going to have to verify our calls, our conversations, what we're doing, because of deep fakes. And I'm like, blockchain is going to be that answer. There's going to be a way to, you know what, that was you, verify that.
Yeah.
And that's scary, but at the same time, it's like, it's needed.
In real time, in real time after the fact. And if you look at, even in the last year, if you look at the quality of the deep fakes that are out there, I mean, it's chilling, and that technology is here and present.
Crazy. Andre, I know you want to ask a question.
Yeah, super exciting, this the whole concept. By the way, I worked for AWS for 6 years, and I can see the vision of edge computing as you are mentioning. And I'm curious to hear like your thoughts, because you mentioned like one of the points is like the storage cost, which is pretty low compared to Ethereum. And how would you say, or how would you, maybe not, it's not comparable to DeSo, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts around DeSo, which solves this particular issue. But how do you see this blockchain? Because especially as you mentioned that you are very active on DeSo.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, from a technical perspective, right? And then maybe we can dive into the social aspects. I think they're very, very similar. So what Nader Naji has done with his smart services instead of smart contracts, I think he's done a lot of very similar things that Dom has at ICP, just a little bit different way around. But when you look at the benchmarks, when you look at the storage costs, and people start to understand, they'll start to understand the advantages of both of those blockchains. I mean, even I was on OpenSea today, and even if you mint on OpenSea, it even basically tells you that those JPEGs are being stored centralized somewhere, right? They're not on chain, because if you have a 10,000 set of generative monkeys and you want to store those on a blockchain, it's going to cost you, I don't know how many, tens of thousands of dollars, right? The beauty about ICP is that you can store all that right on chain, right? So and that solves issues of speed. It solves issues of speed and latency, security, on and on. But I think DeSo holds a lot of similar promise that has been already delivered on ICP and continues to be delivered. I mean, my issue with DeSo has always been, and it's the same issue that we've all had with DeSo, is where's the marketing? I look at DeSo now as a place where it's a marketing channel that I built, and people know who I am, right? I have, I don't know, almost 7,500 followers. Nothing for Twitter, but that's big. That's big for DeSo. So look at it that, but it's also, I mean, some of my best friends are there, right? So we built this amazing community. I'm not just going to pick up and leave. I'm not just going to rug my tokens and leave. I'm very, very bullish on the whole concept of creator tokens, whether it's DeSo, whether it's Rally. All these platforms have their own issues, but I would say I haven't fully given up on DeSo as a platform. I just have my expectations, I think, are more in line with reality. I think we're all there. I mean, it would be nice for DeSo to go back up to $160 instead of where it is at $6. I know my wallet my bags would be a lot more full, but then again, it's very binary because, okay, so all of a sudden my coin price goes from $75 back up, to $2,000. I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to rug pull. So there's the thing with social tokens. If you're the creator, you're either in or out. So you're either rugging people or you're staying the course. And I'm going to continue to stay the course because I think in general that social tokens really are the future. I mean, social tokens are like the credit scores of the future, but they're decentralized, which means that there is more community involvement on what kind of person really are you, and communities are able to forgive. If I do something really stupid or really bad, and I make contrition, I make amends for that, community will forgive. If government is assigning me some credit score, forget it. It's going to stick with me for life. So it's just a better way of I think not only building your personal reputation, building your personal brand, but being able to protect what you've built if we move that into the decentral world. So bullish on DeSo, on the concept and the macro. There's just many micro things that need to be worked out, both from a technical, I think, visual aesthetics to marketing to all the obvious things that we complain about with DeSo.
Just a follow-up question, and you have an experience that a few people have, which is like creating your own token on DeSo, but not sure if you have created other tokens by yourself in other platforms too. But I'm curious and I totally agree, like the future of social tokens that you mentioned, your vision, but what is the challenge of a creator creating a social token? What was the challenge that you faced and how do you see that? And the pros, it's very clear, like you can make more money, you can make a living out of that, but what was the challenge to see that and to grow and to got into that technology?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I made a lot of mistakes on the way in my social token journey. I only do have a token on DeSo right now. I considered Rally, but I'm more familiar with the DeSo platform. Most of my NFTs are on DeSo right now. I'll be moving some of my project over to the Internet Computer blockchain. There are several NFT marketplaces over there, but so just focusing on DeSo and my creator coin journey in DeSo is look, everybody's different, but I never sold, and I just have continued to build my coin price, and I build it to the point of where a dollar cost average in that multiple times a week. If I make an NFT sale, if I get a tip, almost all of that I don't take off chain. It goes right back into my coin, especially now that the DeSo price is $6 and not $160. And what's been happening is that over time, I've been able to take control of my coin's ownership. So while other people own maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50% of their coin, which most people don't, I own about 88 or 89%, which means I control my destiny on that platform. Nobody can come in and buy my token and rug me or anything. I mean, they can, but I'll make money on the founder's fee. But I've positioned myself in such a way that I've added value for my existing token holders by just building the equity in my coin. If they want to sell and make profit, that's fine. That'll cause a little dip. I'll just come in and keep buying. And I'm looking at this very, very, very long term. And that, number one, my personal mission on DeSo is to build my token price, my creator coin price, as high as I possibly can, because that's just, I could be wrong, but I think that does reflect a certain amount of respect for the community and loyalty to the community, and reflects on my commitment and my reputation. I want to build that price up. It's important to me. A lot of people, it's not important. The second thing is that I've created this store of value now that I own 89% of, and when the DeSo price, if the DeSo price goes up to say its all-time high, I have a nice chunk of money in my creator coin, so that if I did decide to sell someday in the future, right, that I would be able to walk away with a very, very, very nice, considerable amount of money that is at the same time that was in my name, and I was building my building my brand. And oh, by the way, and here's a very important thing, if and when I do decide to sell, assuming by that time that I still have 88, 89, 90% ownership in my coin, I won't be rugging anybody. Because I can tell you that a lot of people that have invested in my coin and own my coin, some of those people have lost their seed phrase. Some of them are never coming back to the platform. So it's almost like that part of my coin was burned. So when it does come time for me to execute an exit strategy, nobody gets hurt. My reputation stays in stock. So that's been, I think I'm giving you more my operating, how I'm operating rather than the challenges. I mean, the challenges are just grinding it every day and getting the followers and getting the eyes on what you're doing. And I'd hope that DeSo would be further along. Instead of having 7,500 followers, now I'd have 50,000 followers, so that now you do a post, you might get 20 likes, maybe you get 10 cents. Well, just think if that was doubled, tripled, quadrupled. And then when you start looking at the law of large numbers, that those silly little posts will be getting dollars and tens of dollars instead of pennies. Well, we're very, very far from there.
Great, thanks.
I think the challenge is, at least for me, is just not getting rugged investing in other people's creator coins. Because you have no control. You have no control who's in their cap table. You have no control if So that's really, I lost a considerable sum of money trusting the wrong people, or at least maybe trust is not the right word, but thinking that they would behave differently.
That brings us to the question of moving forward for social tokens and the community. What do you think are some things that need to be done so that we can have more trust within social tokens? Also, how do we show value in social tokens to other people, that potential new users or people that want to issue their own token? Because right now, I think we're still very early, in my opinion.
And maybe expand, just a quick, maybe expand social tokens, not only creator coins, but also community tokens like ApeCoin, Friends with Benefits in general. I think would be interesting to see.
Yeah, so there's that gray area that we're approaching right now, because the last year, DAO, it's been the buzzword. Everything is DAO. So I think we're getting there with the whole DAO approach of being able to make it a more of a community-driven effort, putting governance around the social token, preventing the rug, preventing a lot of bad acting, whether it's intellectual property fraud and NFTs or rug pulls. So I think DAOs is part of that strategy. I can't give you a completely, I think, well-rounded answer because I'm still trying to find my way around the DAOs. I can speak more to some of the challenges that I'm still to wrap my head around because say Ariana Grande is going to have her own social token, and some kid that's a fan puts $500 of their money that they made cutting lawns, mowing lawns, or from their summer job, and some big whale is invested and pulls out and rugs everybody, and the coin price goes in the half. Well, think about the asymmetrical risk for Ariana Grande, because all of a sudden this kid's going to be like, I hate you. You ruined my life savings. You ruined my life, Ariana. And there's just too much. I mean, there's just too much risk for a lot of the celebs to get involved. And then you get into legal and compliance issues about is it security, is it not a security? So I don't necessarily have a lot of answers, Puck, because I'm still trying to work through my head what this all means. And if you look at some of the accounts that were very active on DeSo, and I'm not going to name any names, some of these people are still good friends of mine, is they're off the platform and they're never coming back, and a few of them were scared about the tax implications. I think it's a little bit ridiculous, but I mean, they became just absolutely petrified of buying and selling, and my token is a real security, is that a security? Nobody seems to know, and it's going to be a wild ride in the social token world before we figure it out, because we can't even get regulation, or we can't even understand where things are with Bitcoin. So how are we going to be able to ascertain whether or not the PurpleTrader token or the William Laurent token is a security?
Andre, maybe you could give your thoughts on some of the concerns that William brought up, particularly maybe the what he brought up about Ariana Grande, and the idea that you could possibly get rug pulled from not the creator themselves, but other investors or speculators. So curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, let me go for the first, the second, which is easy, around whether the token is security or utility. I think this is like an answer that nobody have now. But we, of course, have some indications from SEC, how they see tokens. The way that we approach this, we have the Honeywell test, which basically gives us a map to assess the tokens and to decide whether listing or that. But this is still a gray area. So we wish that in maybe in midterm, we have more guidance around that definition. So so far, the point is is about not creating a token with the purpose of investment. So that's one of the several other topics that creators have to be aware of. So consult a good lawyer, especially if you are based in US, so they can guide you before creating your own DAO. For big artists creating social tokens, here's the point: how it's gonna look like. It's gonna be up to the next cohort of creating the tokens to decide. But the way that I feel is that people are going to buy social tokens because they are going to be part of their ecosystem. So let me give you some examples. If I'm just Bieber, and you probably are going to have some NFTs. I'm probably going to have some NFTs around art, around concert, around many things that I'm selling. But the point is, my social token, my creator coin as an artist, as just Bieber, is going to be in a way where people are going to purchase those NFTs. Mm-hmm. The NFTs are going to be priced on their own token. Also, so if you are a fan of just Bieber, you are able to be part of their growth. So it's a very different approach than just buying a concert or buying a service or some product from just Bieber. It's actually it's a different level of engagement with that. Problems around rug pullers, scammers, it happens in the crypto industry. As more we see, like, do we see crypto rug pullers in Bitcoin? The more the token is decentralized, the more the token has a liquidity, this problem tends to be reduced. This is one point. So as more mature you have, so if you want to avoid that, the first thing is to understand the maturity level and the decentralization level of that token. The second point is around like understanding the token formation, who are the team behind, because you mentioned about like buyers doing become rug pullers, but there's another problem which is even worse, which is the creator of that coin doing rug puller or being a scammer. So is that person public? Do we know what is the background? Today there are some systems to evaluate that. Actually, in PurpleTrader, we are working towards to that direction, to evaluating the token, understand who is behind, so we can bring a little bit more safety around that. And the third and last point is around the traders itself and the platform that allows people to trade. So is this like you have to there are some places in Web3 that is still not trustable, so you have to do your own research. You have to choose the projects with the level of trust much higher. So do your own research and make good decisions around this. That's you should play at this moment.
Right. And Pug, I mean, we didn't get into the subject of utility. That's a huge area. So I sort of wanted to just avoid that in general. But as things become more mature in this space, and I am more comfortable with sort of my roadmap with what I'm doing in Web3, then I can start to potentially introduce some utility into the William Laurent DeSo coin, et cetera, but not really there yet. But it's not that difficult to introduce some utility, but I don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. Just like I don't want to spin up a DAO and say, oh, look, I have a DAO, and then nothing happens, because no one's going to care. I will say just one more thing is that I really believe that, why wouldn't everybody want to have a social token? Don't you think we'll get somewhere where, like, in 10 or 15 years, where instead of like having the nicest car on the block, you'll be competing with the people next door. Like, oh, well, look at my social token is $89 and yours went down to $86. It's going to be fun. It's going to be competitive. I think that, look, everybody wants their own personal brand, and social tokens are the way to get it. Be interesting to see what types of marketplaces would be able to accommodate that. But I mean, PurpleTrader is the start of it all.
You're on mute.
Before we switch gears from social tokens, because I do want to ask some other questions on other topics. William, I know you mentioned you had some questions that you want to ask. Are these questions particularly with social tokens or in general before we move on, just so I know if we want to stay here?
Yeah, so there's just I think, well, there's one question that's been bugging me, like, because I just didn't understand it, and uh, it was on your website, and I was just trying to get my head around it when you mentioned, and maybe you could explain, because I think this would help a lot of people, anyone that's watching, and would help me explain to people too, is that you talk about social tokens that are on a bonding curve and how that relates to liquidity. And I don't remember the exact point that you made, but it was something that I wasn't able to understand the correlation between the two. Like how the liquidity situation is different if it's on a bonding curve or not bonding curve.
This is where Andre comes in to
Yeah. So
Great.
basically, many projects, including BitCloud, DeSo, the creator coins, they were built on bound curve model, which is a formula. So how do we, like, if you ask, how do we define what is your price? It's basically a formula that is going to get the price of the DeSo coin, and it's going to see how many coins have you issued so far. The more you have in terms of numbers of coins, the bigger the price is going to be. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the formula. So if people are buying your token, so the system automatically, they're going to issue more token.
Right.
And the price is going to increase. So there is a curve. If you want to sell, you sell for that particular price that was set due to that curve. Regarding liquidity, the point is this bounding curve helps traders and people that just want to buy the token, because if they want to sell, they don't need to wait somebody to sell a token. It's different. Like in Bitcoin, the supply is fixed. Okay, it's increasing over time, but there is every time it's a fixed amount of tokens of Bitcoin. So some, including DAOs in general. So right. If somebody wants to buy a token, somebody needs to sell the token for you. But in the token bound curve, what happens is that the system automatically can create tokens if there is more demand. So that's how it happens. So in terms of liquidity, when we go to a non-token bound curve, which is the case of most of, you can argue that some DAOs, including DAO, they have some bounding curve there to incentivize people to buy the tokens itself. But think more as a limited amount of token you have. So this system does is just to accelerate the purchase process. So into that situation, what you need, it's more like one order book model exchange. I will not go into very technical details, but it's basically a system where you see a bunch of people buying, a bunch of people selling. Yeah. If the price is matched, there is a match in the price, the trade happens. Right. Or you have a system like Uniswap, which a lot of people stake their coins, so they put their coins into a liquidity pool, and you can exchange in a much quicker way. Right. So when it comes a non-token bound curve, you do need an exchange. You do need a place where you're gonna exchange that token. Otherwise, you're gonna suffer from liquidity problems.
Right. You need somebody on the other side of the trade, or it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think I got it. I mean, I get my camera's going wacky again. I get I sometimes get or the conversation gets muddied when people talk about liquidity and market cap and things. So there's a lot of, I think, overlaps.
Sorry, will your camera is blurred?
Yeah.
Again.
Should we do that again? Do the reset? I'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. In the meantime, Andre, I figured we'll talk about his artistic projects in crypto, and we can talk more about how to get others involved.
1 second. Let me switch my settings. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Sorry. Let's continue, and I can go into the topic later, Giovanni. Go ahead, Will.
No, I mean that was just the one thing that was sort of bothering me, but I understand now what the implied meaning was on liquidity and bonding curve. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Andre, for the explanation. It's these types of explanations that I think is going to be very essential for people down the road when they want to issue their own social token. So when we can, if we can help spread this information out, this is what it's all about. So William, I want to pivot a little bit. Let's talk about your art.
Yeah.
Really about. Well, I wrote it down. I'm curious. Let's go into your part. Like let's go into your details about your art in this space, how you got involved, how art and crypto in this connection, and then go into more details about a particular project, which was Desolaters.
Yeah. Thanks. So I worked most of my life as an artist, a working artist, but it's usually been part-time, other than for a very brief point in time when I was younger doing graffiti art, and that was going well, and I was getting some notoriety, but I was also getting in a lot of trouble. So I put that aside, went into technology. That was probably the best move at the time. But art is something that I've always kept on the side, both as a musician and as a canvas artist, and would sell pieces now and then on the canvas art, depending on how much time I would put into it in a year. I mean, you need a lot of time. If you want to sell canvas art, you need a lot. You got to hit the pavement. It's always been something that I do, but I was never into digital art until I would say the last 2 years. When I came on to DeSo in March of last year, it was because I wanted to show my canvas art. I wanted to before there was NFTs or anything. I was just like, hey, hello world, check what I'm working on. And if you go to my website, you'll see some samples of what I do. It's very influenced by urban, I would say graffiti art. It has that vibe. A lot of it does. Very colorful, Fauvist. And then as I started to, gosh, it's been less than 2 years that I've really been doing much digital stuff. But I started to see what other people were doing in the digital space, with the Bored Apes and with the Me-Bits and Crypto Kitties and all those sort of almost Japanese manga influenced type of characters. And I saw what people were doing on DeSo. I saw what people were doing on other blockchains, and said, "Oh, this is really cool." But I think I have something that is innovative that no one is doing, and I've been experimenting with this process that I call Hakone Reduce for a while, and it's because I sort of stumbled onto it in Hakone, Japan, when I was on a photo shoot, because I take photos too, and I just one day I got myself focused. And I had all these ideas in my head, and I had my photographs, and I had just some other raw materials. And how can I make something of this? And then my first Desolator was born. And I just want to point out that when you look at the Desolators, depending on the piece, some of those pieces are 100% photographs. Other pieces are probably 97, 98%, but it's almost all photographs, right? It's not hand drawn. There's no photo. I don't do anything in Photoshop. What I do for those pieces, so a lot of the early works and even the works I do now, they use shapes that were photographed in a children's playground in the mountains of Japan when the sun was at a certain angle, when these clouds were at a certain level. And I had taken these pictures because I just liked the way the light was shining on them. And then when I understood that they worked well in this Desolator context, then I started going back to the same place and doing photo shoots and constructing these. So what I've done is I've loaded a lot of the work from the back end to the front end. In other words, when I actually do the photo shoot and I do the pre-production stuff, that is where most of the work is done. There are other tools that I don't use Photoshop. I use something called GIMP, and I do use other digital tools, but I'm not a 3D rendering guy. I'm not a Photoshop guy. Like those are just, the learning curve is too long and just not good at what I do. So if you look at some of the work that Michelle Lord is doing with her mannequins, it's very similar, her process, in that it's very, very photography centered. But the end product, when you look at it, people say, wait, you did that in Photoshop, you did it in this app, and did it. It's like, no, those are photos that were assembled very carefully, assembled and reassembled, and in a way that in a way that forms something very new. I mean, there's no, that Hakonia reduced style that the Desolators are in, and that some of my other digital artwork is in. I still have to find yet an artist that is working in that style. There's just not. So, I don't know if the world is ever going to discover it, but if not, that's fine. When I have time, I'll extend the project further. But there is really still a lack of, I would say, respect, and maybe that's because there's a lack of demand of photography and NFTs. I'm hoping that will change, and they have artists that are doing sort of hybrid digital art, photography art, like myself and Michelle Lord, will be able to get more of a following as time goes on. I'm when I look at, I'm usually very critical of my art, my canvas art, and my art in general. I'm very critical of myself as a writer, and especially as a musician. I went to grad school for music, but when I look at what I've done with the Desolators, I'm pretty happy. I look at it and I just say, some of the pieces are better than others, but I'll go back to it and I'll say, wow, I really did that. And there's nobody else that I've seen that's working in that style. You can see the influence of Spanish 20th century art. You can see the influence of Miro. You can see the influence of Picasso. You can see the influence of Braque and these type of artists. So, I think I just put a lot of things together in my brain and photos that I took and created something that is new in the world. We'll see if the world responds. If not, it's fine.
I mean, I got a chance to check it out. I think it's very unique. Definitely pops out. You got a style. I look forward to, when I'm putting together these videos, definitely adding the Desolators so people can see it and hopefully get you some recognition that you deserve, because it's in terms of like art that's at least in this space, that's original and I think stands out. This is the type of art that you don't really see out there, and I think that's great. And I think it really just comes down to getting it out there.
I appreciate that, and I think people respond mostly really well. And if they're responding critically, I guess they don't tell me to my face. Either way, I don't really care. But I think some people understand the complexities and subtleties of what's going on. A friend of mine said to me the other day, "Oh, what did you do? Just get a bunch of clip art and put it in?" It's like, look at the actual pieces. You could tell that they're like, look at the humidity on that piece of child playground equipment that you can actually see in the picture. I mean, it was all that was planned. Nothing was for chance, or I didn't shortcut any of that shit.
Well, I see it. I think it's definitely great. Let's figure out a way to, like I said, we'll figure out a way to get you some recognition on these projects. Question though, in terms of NFT artists out there, any others that inspire you, influence you?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna selfishly name my friends because, as you know, like people buy art not necessarily for the art, they buy it for the artist, right? And that's why artists spend so much time cultivating personal relationships. And even uber super rich famous artists, it only takes 20 or 30 collectors for that artist to have a career, like people that buy their stuff. That personal connection. So I'm going to just shout out people that I've become good friends with over the last few years. I've mentioned Michel Lord. If you've seen any of Paul Pichigun's work, he came on to DeSo about the same time I did, and he's an amazing photographer, and he's pretty well known. And I talk to him sometimes and get pointers on things, and I've learned a lot for him. On the photography side, I think they're just both amazing. And then a lot of my friends are doing really cool stuff on DeSo. I mean, Clay Oglesby is always doing something interesting. Illuminati is always doing something interesting. They work very hard, and I sort of know them well enough to know their psyche, to know what's going on in their brain. So that helps me appreciate their artwork a little bit more. As far as what's going on in the mainstream, I mean, I like the Bored Apes. I could never afford one, but a lot of the things that are fetching premium money, I think, are cool. Other things I can't understand. CryptoPunks. I mean, I have an application that can take any picture and digitally render it like that in a matter of seconds. I just don't understand what the hype is. But they're an OG. They're OGs. They did the idea first. But I like a lot of what Yuga Labs is doing. I pretty much like all their projects. As far as other big mainstream projects, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But art is it's very dynamic for me. Like I'll see something, I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing, that's incredible, and then my attention is off to the next thing because in Web3, it's just a continual battle for attention all day long.
Yeah, dopamine.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I probably after this call, there'll be like 30 things. I'm like, oh, I should have said that, or other people that are my good friends on DeSo. I was like, oh, why didn't I mention their projects? But
I mean, thanks for the tips that help. That's helpful. Andre, you want to add something?
No, yeah, I just want to thank you. Super cool sharing those tips.
William, as we get to the end, I wanted to ask you a personal question. Is maybe some of the biggest lessons you've learned in this space that you can share with us?
yeah, I mean, I made so many mistakes, and I look back on it, and I should have been more patient. I should have thought certain things through. I should have read the white paper better on DeSo and understood the bonding curve. Um, Take time. Understand that you do need a strategy. If you're going to have a social token, you need to know, at least on a superficial basis, and it can even be short term to midterm. It doesn't have to be long term. Know what you're trying to do. I made a lot of decisions where I trusted the wrong people, or people would overpromise and underdeliver. And there were maybe cases when I did the same thing just because I was going too fast. Um, and we need to remind ourselves that the social token is so exciting and there's so much opportunity, but we know this because we have enough life experience, although I'm still learning, is that there's always going to be opportunity. That's something that's made me a bad trader because I always think I don't realize that if I take a loss, can be a gain somewhere else in the future. and I take that too hard, is that, slow down. There's always going to be opportunity to build what you need to build. You don't have to see your coin price to moon to feel good about what you're doing. And I think we know that we're early. And what I found out, we know that we're early in blockchain. We know that we're early in crypto. We know that we're way early in social tokens. And we've kept saying this like a mantra over the last year. Oh, well, we're early. Oh, crypto crash, we're early. But you know what? We don't realize how early we really are. I mean, we're super freaking early. So, I mean, that's good because crypto's not going away, blockchain's not going away. Even if all the cryptos, except for a couple, go to zero, blockchain's distributed ledger technology is still there. Social tokens are going to stay around as well. So we might be early, things might be tough, but if it's fun, if it's something that we believe in, this is the place to be. Because look, Andre Pug, nobody knows how it's going to go, but if you keep plugging away at on the social token space, you guys are going to be some of the best experts in the world on this. People are going to be paying you big money to consult or speak on stages. So I would just say to anybody new to this space is just be patient and be here because you want to be here and because you like it. If the minute it stops being fun, stop doing it. Right?
Beautiful.
I couldn't agree. Just curious, just one last question. If you were if you would compare social tokens with Bitcoin, in which year we are in terms of adoption?
I would say, so I first heard about Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, and this coworker it was like $25, and I had this coworker who was just, I'm just trying to think what the safe word is for this. He was messed up. Like everything he touched went to shit. He had no responsibility. But he's like, oh, I'm buying this Bitcoin. It's like $25. And this is a guy that couldn't keep a job. Man, he's probably so wealthy right now. God bless him. He's probably retired. But that's when I first heard about that. And I would say that was 2000, let's say it was 2012. We're earlier than that. When did the guy pay 6 Bitcoins from the pizza? That's where we are.
I don't know the exact year, but if that's the case, we're really early.
That's where we are. We need to remind ourselves. We really are. And if you look at the stats of, 20% of Americans hold crypto, whatever, which I think is too high. I think they're overestimating it. Because most of those people are not active, or maybe they have a little bit of Solana in a trust wallet that they got from their friend. Nobody's in social. I mean, proportionally, yes, DeSo really caught on in the first couple months, and a bunch of people were in. Most of the people that were OGs have left. Maybe they'll come back in when things heat up. But I can tell you this, and I will say that we are way, way early, because if you go in to sign up for DeSo, I'm one of the accounts that's recommended to follow. Okay, so there's like 20 accounts. I'm one of them. So I know every day what the daily new users are, because I get a proportion of them to follow me. And I got to tell you, it is some days there's like 1 or 2, which means if 1 or 2 people are following me in a day out of 20 different, that means in a day there could only be 20 or 30. How many of them will even be active? How many of them are bots? And DeSo is still the #1 social token platform right now. So we are incredibly, incredibly early.
Good to hear that perspective. Well, William, I've asked all the questions I had to ask. Andre, if there's anything you want to ask, or William, if there's any last question you want to ask us, please do so.
Yeah, I think most of my questions would be offline, just where what your roadmap is. I've talked to some of the other excellent people that work with you, and a little bit about what your strategy is for marketing and content and blog, because the world needs to understand what's going on with social tokens, needs to hear the story of PurpleTrader, needs to know that this space exists because it's so cool. And more, again, I'm going to say it one more time. Who doesn't want their own token? People are going to want tokens for their damn dog. Seriously.
Yeah, yeah. I am happy to speak after or at some point, but we can share too much details publicly. We are in a process of preparing a new launch, which is really cool. I couldn't be more excited. We have been over the last few months on a customer like journey of understanding the customer needs, and that is so much important. And we found so many interesting issues where we can provide a great solution. So hopefully users and the community are going to be able to hear a little bit more.
Excellent. And yeah, again, my questions are more just what types of segments are you looking to reach, both on the traders and just, yeah, could go on and on. But I mean, there were a lot of people in the beginning of BitClout. There were a lot of people that came in and traded and made tons of money. So I think that's a pretty good use case for what you're doing right now. Is that with the correct analytics, that there is a tremendous arbitrage opportunities for people with PurpleTrader.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. It's going to be great in the next couple of hopefully months, a month or whatever the case may be. More announcements. But William, if you're speaking with other people on the team, but you always feel free to reach out to us, even like Andre said himself, and he will go into more detail of the stuff we can't really discuss publicly. But William, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I learned a lot. I hope you learned some stuff as well. I'm excited to share this content, and I appreciate the time you took to speak with us.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm wearing my DeSo shirt, by the way.
A little brand
Awesome
marketing.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you very much, Will. Bye.
All right.